I'd rather be considered a murderer than a stalker. You know what I mean?
I wanted the intensity of of her feeling watched.
Anybody could be a stalker.
It's all boogeyman talk.
Not still that crazy.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Brighter Side of Blue, our worldwide podcast, coming to you almost live from Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis, home of the daily lunch specials. We have Ricky Ray in the audience today. Had the daily lunch special. It was grilled pork chops with mashed potatoes and gravy. He said it was unbelievable, and the Seabo's thin crust pizza.
Looked good.
Looked good. It smelled good.
Yeah.
It was very good. So we have a big crowd here tonight. I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
Producer John.
JJ, what do we have tonight on tonight's show?
We have Mark Kurkowski, who is the former city detective, and he is an advocate and an expert in stalking. That's what he did for DART, and he's does a great job talking about stalkers, which is a pet peeve of mine. It's an interest. I'm interested in that because I think it's just a creepy thing. But he's got a website called KurkowskiConsult.com. I suggest everybody get on it if you're being stalked or you have any issues. He kind of, it's a great website.
Great interview. We had a good interview with him.
Oh, wow. I mean, some of the statistics he threw out just blew my mind.
Fascinating subject that has affected so many people.
Yes,
He's a subject matter expert.
It doesn't bring
John.
Schmeat. Subject matter, yeah.
But you're really going to enjoy this. So
I think if someone said everybody here has probably had some form of stalker that they've dealt with or in their families at some point in their lives.
You know, real quick, just one of the questions that was asked after Mark got off and we didn't address the issue was, are bullies stalkers? Is that like a question? And he, he did say that is a form of stalking. Bullying is that, and maybe they can use some of the statutes that Mark talks about, and he talks about some committee. He talks about a lot of fascinating stuff. And
that question came from the crowd.
And then
from my buddy Chuck.
From Chuck. That was an up, Chuck.
So we love that, and it was a great interview. So.
Hey, JJ, give us an update on Nathan Spiess and tell us a little bit about what you did the other day, the motorcade.
All the big wigs from all the higher ups were there, and so we all stood there when he came out of the hospital. It was on the news, so I'm not telling something new. So he got in his squad. The guys that were here, a couple of them were here last week, and they actually got in the Tahoe with him, and they rode out with him, which was cool. But we all did an escort all the way from Barnes Hospital all the way to Cottleville. That's a long ways, and it was overwhelming. It was just so cool to see, and I don't think he knew that was coming. He just he came out and saw all these people out here and everybody saluting them. It was cool. It was very touching. They drove them all out. But the cool thing about it was when you see people, people were blocking. Our traffic division was blocking exit ramps, so we could just go there on unimpeded, whatever. Is that the right word? But anyway,
all right.
So we were going out there, and there'd be people stopped, and they were like waving to us, and they were inconvenienced all the way out to Cotterville, which is way past St. Charles.
Yeah.
Not way past St. Charles, and they didn't seem to care. They were out of their cars waving to the procession. It was a pretty neat thing. And so the update is, this kid is tougher than nails, and he wants to come back and be a policeman, and he wants to go to the Walter Reed Hospital to do that. And it's been done before. I think we talked about it last week maybe, but hopefully he gets in. They're doing all the right things, and we'll talk about it later in the podcast, but he wants to go. I mean, the kid's been shot. Now he lost his lower leg below the knee, and he wants to come back and still be the policeman. He could easily win out of disability last time, but he doesn't. He loves to be the police, and he is for me, that is the epitome of what we need right now in this police department. Guys like that want to do what they want to be, the police, and that is a cool thing that they want to be to me.
And Nathan's one of the few first responders who actually got that kind of procession while they're still alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Where they could actually,
Absolutely.
And I got to mention
love.
he's got a twin, which really threw me off. I knew he had a twin. So there was a big crowd when he came out of the hospital in the wheelchair, and I saw this kid, and he looked just like him. I'm thinking, I think is he on is he on crutches? I'm like, oh, that was his brother, but because there's so many people there. But I mean, it's amazing.
His name's Nicholas.
Nick is
He's a firefighter.
He is. I didn't say. I thought I said that. I said first responder. But anyway, they were all there, and it was a cool scene. It's a cool atmosphere, and I can't not wait till when he comes back and becomes a policeman. It's going to be one hell of a podcast when he does that.
I look forward to tracking his rehabilitation.
Exactly, 100%.
Because hopefully he can get into Walter Reed or another, military facility that's similar to Walter Reed. I think there's so many aspects of that would help somebody in his situation. Because a lot of those soldiers have suffered the same kind of injury that same injuries that resulted in the same kind of result or same kind of injury. But a lot of the rehabs, like if you just have normal insurance and you might find yourself up on highway, Tesson Ferry across from St. Anthony's Hospital doing rehab for this. Try it, and his goal is to come back to work. That's not going to happen. You need that top-notch rehabilitation that deals with everything. And then, the military, God bless them all, the injuries that they have a support system and a rehab facilities that are unbelievable.
Well, I'll just say one last thing. Joe Spiess, everybody knows if you've
Chief Spiess.
Chief Spiess, he's taken the ball and he's run with it. So
Good.
Hopefully, we don't know where it stands now. I know it's making progress. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I have 100% faith in Joe Spiess and I think it's going to.
We want to get him in Walter Reed, and we want to
get
get him back on duty.
100%.
And we want to roll from there.
That'll be fun. It'll be a fun journey.
Glasses up, Nathan Spiess, and you will be back, and you'll be on the podcast, and we support you along your journey.
What a story.
Hang in there, brother.
We're filming this podcast on baseball's opening day.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Opening day. And it's the earliest opening day, March 28th, in the history of baseball.
Really?
Yeah, early.
One of your better facts.
Huh?
27th, not 28th.
Today's the 28th, isn't it?
27.
Tomorrow will be the 28th.
No, today's the 28th, isn't it?
No.
27th.
Hey, there's no fact
still
checking
the
on this
earliest.
podcast. It's the earliest
God damn it,
podcast.
you don't be fact checking the day.
Holy cow.
Definitely
I
Fact
lost a
checking what day
day.
it is. We've gone out of it's out
Producer
of
John
control.
brings smart fans.
Yeah.
It's still the earliest. Now it's even earlier. Now it's
Even earlier than what you thought.
Now it's even earlier.
All right, this one's going to be tough to break.
Yeah. But in 1910,
What happened?
You lost your thoughts?
April. No, I didn't. I have to get my masculine cheaters on.
Yeah, what's up with them?
April 14th. April 14th, 1910.
What happened?
President Howard Taft,
Big T.
William Howard Taft,
Big T.
the Big T, threw out the first ceremonial pitch in
Baseball.
1910.
Down the middle.
First president or first?
No, he was a president. It became tradition for the presidents
Okay.
to throw out the ceremonial first pitch for opening day of baseball. 1910, William Howard Taft did it. Woo, he's a righty. I saw the
Yep.
picture.
Here it comes.
1911, he did it.
2 years in a row.
Yes. Chuck, he was very heavy set, but in the picture, he
Big
looked like he had
T.
a good arm. Good. We could see him on the fuzzball courts.
He also
Right.
he also ate 15 hot dogs that game.
Yeah. So in 1911, so in 1910 was the first time ever a president threw out the first pitch. In 1911,
He coming
threw
back.
out the first pitch.
Shit.
They invited him back for 1912. He did not make it because he thought it would be inappropriate because 5 days earlier the Titanic sank and they were still in mourning.
Wow.
Huh.
That's interesting.
So there you
So
go.
the Titanic?
Huh?
The Titanic was the reason there wasn't a 3-year run?
Danny, can
Yeah.
I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
Who was last president throughout the opening pitch?
Oh, I don't know, but I know there are only 3 presidents that have not thrown out the ceremonial first pitch. So everybody in the crowd, there's like 1,800 out there. But JJ just tried to stump me. There are 3 presidents that have not thrown out the ceremonial first pitch for Major League Baseball. Jimmy Carter,
Biden.
Joe Biden, and Donald Trump.
So the last one was Obama then.
Yep.
By process of elimination.
Actually, he came in the Cardinals game and threw out the pitch.
Who did?
It was
Obama.
at the All-Star game.
You said
it
no
all-star
pitch.
game?
It wasn't the first pitch. He just came
No,
out.
it wasn't
He
opening
just came
day.
out in the middle of the game.
He came out and faced
no,
a guy in the
no.
ninth.
Threw a pitch.
No,
2
stop.
outs in the ninth, he came out.
He came out and threw the first pitch, but it wasn't opening game. And John will tell you why.
Oh, okay. I see.
It was the All-Star game.
Thank you.
All right.
Because I was sitting behind the dugout in a chair. I was positioned there by lay shot. Stay there, and I saw him walk out.
Well, I hope Donald Trump gets out there next season and throws out the first pitch.
Right.
He listens to the podcast. He probably does. He probably will.
No, he does. He is a listener.
Yes.
He is a listener.
Blues just scored.
Blues just scored.
That's
so,
where the yell from the crowd just came in right now. Is it 2-1?
So that's my useless opening
Perfect.
day
That was
information.
good.
Trump-
Good stuff.
Trump was going to throw out the first pitch this year, but a federal judge put an injunction against him.
Uh-oh. We're
How
not
does
political.
John
We're
do
not
that?
political here.
No, it's unbelievable.
Shit.
Another one, John Zingers.
Another one's Junior. Okay, check. Welcome back to the show and our portion of Check's Fish Fries. So,
Thanks for having me.
yeah,
Again.
we need.
Again.
We heard from you earlier in the show, but now here we go again. baby.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks
Right.
for coming on early to represent for Brian. But now it's time to get into the fish fries. Where have you been and where are you going?
So my better half, Mary, on
Much better.
we have 2 to cover this evening. 2 fish fries.
Yeah, we
And
So-
the one you're going to tomorrow.
And then the one I'm going to tomorrow. Correct.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So let me back up to the 14th of March. Mary and I attended St. Gerard and Magella's Fish Fry, located at Bayless at Darty Ferry.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it's good. We went through that. First of all, they have a drive-through. We didn't dine in. Had a drive-through. Long line. Kept it rolling. Once you got onto the church property, you were greeted by Father, the priest. Thanked you. Hello, how are you? What's going on? What's your name? Where are you from? They were quick. They were efficient. They had their fish was awesome, incredible.
Fried or
We
grilled?
started off. I'm sorry.
Fried or grilled?
Fried. Fried. Yeah, we're health nuts, Mary and I. So is fried.
We're health nuts, he says.
But we got their.
It's not called a fish grill.
No.
Their
It's called
Did I
a
s-
fish fry.
No,
it's a fish fry. You don't go
Grilled?
to a fish fry game and get grilled.
Oh,
fish.
My wife gets grilled.
Oh,
You don't go to
yeah,
a fish
damn
fry
it.
and get grilled shit.
Oh, damn
Right.
it.
I
Okay.
mean, there's not a healthy side. There's nothing. Fish fries are for.
No.
I mean, that's just.
All right.
But go
The
ahead.
coleslaw
Baked.
might
I
be your
meant baked.
healthiest
I meant
option.
Chuck Schroff. I meant baked. Baked or
Baked.
fried?
It was
Right.
fried.
It's not
Danny.
called a fish bake either. Chuck's
No.
wrong on that too.
Okay.
Oh, God.
All right. Go ahead,
Oh,
Tommy. I'm so sorry about this.
No, you're good. It takes me back like a year ago. What did we have that debate about? Was it a cheesecake or a pizza
Yeah.
or something?
Can a pie be
you don't
square?
even know.
Don't
Don't even get me
Exactly.
started. Can a
Don't
pie
even get
We had
that
one of
shit
those on
started.
the, we had one of those on the
Tommy,
text
Yeah.
thread the other day.
We just
Yeah.
had
What
one on
was
the
that
text
debate
thread.
again?
Hey,
Can
check.
there be a
Again.
square pie? And the answer is
Oh,
yes.
fuck.
And then
That's
we got
yeah.
into a text thing the other night that
Yes.
we have to corral in the people that use pie.
I think you're.
like shepherd's pie and chicken pot pie. You know,
Why?
If it's not a dessert, it's not a pie.
I'm
start
going to have
there.
to favor with you on that.
Start
See?
there.
I disagree
People that have
wholeheartedly.
started naming pies, they
Pie
come
is
up
just
with
a
shit.
figure. It's a circular.
I'm going to have to go with Tommy Sawyer on
let's-
that.
I'm just telling you.
Can we go back to the fish fry?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you,
Yeah,
Jack.
sorry,
Thank
Danny.
If
you.
you serve it if you serve it in a circular pan, it's a fish pie.
John.
John, I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm sorry.
I know.
It's a pet peeve of all of us. None of us agree
and it
on
was
it.
forgotten until just now. And now it's back.
Jack, we are so sorry.
right.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
Here we
I'm
go.
sorry I brought it up. I apologize.
Now, get
But,
back to the
anyway,
fish
Let
fry.
me get back to St. Gerard Magella. So, for an appetizer, we got the fried shrimp. It was 6, huge.
Love that.
2-bite 3-bite shrimp. It
Oh,
was
wow.
awesome.
Did it have that little?
No
Oh, yeah.
such thing as a 3-bite shrimp, dude.
No, I would agree with
Come
that.
on, dude. I don't understand why they call it jumbo shrimp either. Jumbo.
It's like sipping on
There's
a
no such
shot.
thing.
I don't know. These were big shrimp. I mean,
3-bite
you will not be
shrimp's like a
disappointed if you go by.
3-sip shot.
The cod was seasoned to perfection, very crunchy. The sides that Mary and I chose were coleslaw and mac and cheese.
Good choice.
Sides are good.
Creamy
right? I mean,
or vinegar coleslaw?
Creamy, I like.
that one was, I believe that was creamy, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
I'm good
Yeah,
with that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, check,
But,
I tuned you out a little
and
while ago.
you
What church is
also-
this?
What church was this again?
This is St. Gerard Magellan.
Okay, I
JJ.
tuned you out a while ago. I'm sorry, but all right.
That's all right. No, you can tune
Okay.
back in.
Okay, good. I'm hearing you now.
It was
creamy
located
coleslaw.
Bayless at Darty Ferry.
Right.
It's Bayless at Darty Ferry.
Alice and Darty Fair.
Not
Okay,
everybody's
perfect.
not listening.
Scale of 1 to 10.
You don't have to go back.
No, scale of 1 to 10.
Oh,
What do you
put
think?
him on the-
Yeah.
I
putting the man
would
on the
definitely
spot.
give it an 8.
All right.
Oh, okay.
And
All right.
it comes with a free dessert.
Ooh, nice.
Which was?
And, well,
Bud
you can
Light.
get your chocolate cake, yellow cake, whatever.
I got
And
you.
along the way, the Boy Scouts, for an additional fee, you can buy some Ted Drews.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Did you?
Yeah. So, no.
I have one.
No.
I just have one question,
I grew
Chuck.
up on Ted Drews, Danny. like
Yeah,
you did,
trust me.
you know.
Draft beer, canned beer, or bottled beer?
Great question.
They did not offer any beverages while waiting in line.
Well,
Se-
okay.
7. 7.
7, right.
Point
Just lost a
deduction.
point.
Okay, but go on. What about inside if you go inside?
Knowing that, you have to pre-plan, right?
Right.
Knowing you're going to wait. So Mary and I pre-plan. So,
All right,
Friday,
now we're
March
going to
20th.
your
Moving on.
next place. Where did you go next?
Sacred Heart Eureka.
Gabe Keithley.
Gabe Keithley.
Is he there?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
he was not there. However, I did call Gabe after I came home, and we looked. At any rate, I called Gabe, and he gave me the rundown, and it was very good. A drive-through. Once again, Father Leo greeted you, talked to you, and
Wow.
here's what's unique about Sacred Heart. You don't get to order anything. Everybody gets the same thing, and
Oh.
they just ask you how many plates, 1 or 2, 3, however.
Wow.
So you
Yes. I'm down with
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Takes out the
Wow.
decision.
Kind of like
you
it's kind of
get-
like the person that goes into McDonald's and looks at the menu for 5 minutes. You're like, dude, it's McDonald's. They ain't changed the menu in 30
They ain't messing around.
or 30.
You get
years.
3 pieces of fish, you get green beans, coleslaw, and mac and cheese, and you also get a dessert there.
All right.
That
So
sounds like
they just keep them rolling.
it sounds like
It's-
I'm betting
All right.
they have bottled beer there.
No drinks.
Oh, you
no
said-
drinks there.
Oh,
All right,
gotta
scale
think
of
that-
1 to 10.
well-
Well, I'm thinking not to. I'm going to say
I'm
you're going to go
thinking
to
6.
6.5.
I'm thinking you're right.
Just be honest.
it's Catholic Church,
Uh-oh.
isn't
I am
it?
gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, I mean, this is-
I was there when Gabe ran it. I shouldn't say
It
this.
was way better
It's-
when he ran it.
Yeah, we'll just say it. We'll just say
give
it
him
because
credit.
Gabe's good like that. He is. He does do better. He does. He took that fish fry. And for those that don't know,
It was-
Gabe
hey.
Keithley's a friend of ours, and he would volunteer. How many years in a row?
Oh,
I
man.
mean, probably
Oh,
like 4 or
God.
5 years in a row.
longer than that.
They would
Well,
cut the
kids were in
fish
school.
up.
Right.
He would. It would start volunteering for that when you're really down. You know,
Thursdays.
they start. No, they start on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, where they receive the fish.
Wow.
They got to get that stuff into certain areas, and they got to cut the fish. And that's
Yeah.
and that's not just that or that church. That's all these churches. And kudos to all those volunteers that get out there. And
Absolutely.
like you said, but, Tommy, I think me and you were talking, and one of the things is that the fish, these guys have all perfected the fish.
Yeah.
I mean, they all pretty much
Right.
have some good fish. It comes down to the
Yeah.
sides, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't
know,
have soggy fries, because that's going to put you back. I mean, this is a battle out here. This is a Catholic
It's
battle.
hell out there. There's a
this is
little
like-
leeway.
This is like the CYC championship game.
Yeah.
Come
Hey,
on, baby.
And
I-
to your point, Tommy, Gabe had his gang, and they would start on a Wednesday and a Thursday,
Yep.
and they would cut and fillet their fish, season it, the whole bit. Hey, it was good. It was very good.
I got.
don't
I,
get me
But it
wrong,
wasn't
I would
Gabe.
not
It
go
wasn't
back
Gabe
there.
good.
I
It was
listen.
not Gabe good.
I got one thing.
Go ahead.
You've been doing the Catholic Church fish fries.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't want to be like the bad guy
No.
here, but I went to a
No.
non-Catholic, the Acorns, over in Waterloo, the golf course. Went there last Friday.
Oh yeah.
They were good, very
Yeah.
good, very good. They got crab legs, everything. And then I think this Friday, I'm going to the Elks Club, which is another. So I want to do the non-Catholic
There
fish
you
fries.
go. I'm with you. Because we
that's
went to the
good.
Knights of Columbus.
It
Yeah,
sounds
there you go.
good. It sounds good. When you get your own podcast, then I would recommend you go ahead and do something like that there. Sounds good, interesting.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Let's just move on.
So I would recommend both St. Gerard Magella. I would also recommend Sacred Heart and Eureka. Where'd I go? Oh, well, Mary Magdalene and Brentwood.
Brownwood.
That's good.
I want to go to the
So-
Brownwood one. You said they had good clam chowder, right?
Yeah, which is a unique
Yeah.
thing.
Oh,
Tommy Sawyer called that out.
Gumbo.
Gumbo.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
try.
A parishioner's mom is from New Orleans and gave him the recipe, and they make that
Yeah,
there.
that's
and
my
again,
next
they
stop.
have a drive-through also.
I'm
So,
going in. I'm sitting in and getting the whole ambiance.
And actually, now that we complain here a couple times about not having beer. You can't be selling beer in the drive-through.
No, that's
Unless
bad.
he goes in, we can't comment on beer.
I agree with that.
You know
'Cause
who
this
also has,
week-
has
Right.
a drive-through with no beer? Long John Silver's.
There you go, Johnny.
He
That's
refuses
right.
to go to Long John Fish. No.
Hey,
I'm
if I
laying off
can-
I'm laying off the drive-throughs. I had a bad experience at McDonald's. I was pulling through McDonald's. I don't even know what road I was on, and as I'm in line, and this gal, she was obviously a street worker, came up to me and said, "Hey,
Oh boy.
if free sex if you just get me a Big Mac with no lettuce, no pickles, and none of that sauce, and it doesn't want the bun in the middle." And I said, "Man, excuse me, please get away." I went up there and I said, "Hey, you got a lady back here, and she's asking for offering sex for anything that if you give her a Big Mac with no sauce, no pickles." And no bun in the middle, and you ought to do something about that. She goes, "I'll call the manager. What can I get you?" I said, "I want a Big Mac with no sauce, no lettuce, and no bun in the middle."
I knew you were going somewhere with that, so I didn't want to interrupt you.
I knew he was going there.
I knew you were going
Special
somewhere
orders,
with that.
Danny. Special orders.
Special orders don't upset us.
Right. That's how Sacred Heart. That's why Sacred Heart does what they do.
But anyway,
Here's
getting
what
back to
you get.
Catholic fish fries. Where are you going tomorrow?
Right.
Where are you going tomorrow?
We're going to St. Cecilia's in South St. Louis.
All right.
His
That's the Leo Rice
Hispanic
Parish.
church.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leo Rice's. Yep, absolutely. My father's parish. He grew up on Tennessee, and
Okay.
we're going there, and we're going to report back.
Does Tennessee
So we're looking forward to it.
Does the Tennessee Street still have stone? That was
Yes.
the last one to buckle. They had a stone
Yeah.
street forever. One of those old stone streets that you drove
cobblestones?
by. Cobblestone, yes.
Tommy, that whole neighborhood did. And
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you think back,
It was great.
and my grandfather told me how many men that they put to work laying those cobblestones. I mean, imagine that.
Oh, my
that
God.
whole South St. Louis area had
Oh,
the
good God,
cobblestones.
yeah.
How many guys, fed their family and sent their kids to school
But
on
I'll tell you.
laying cobblestones.
Yeah.
I'll
So-
tell you, when those cobblestones went, and that bump that the cobblestones would give you, I said, got a little wavy.
Yeah.
Whether it be at the landing or on Tennessee or one of
Yeah.
the streets up there, that was some tough driving there.
Yeah.
I bet
it
you it
was.
was a tough political decision, kind of like Wrigley Field going to lights when the city was forced to cover
Yeah.
those cobblestones with asphalt. I mean, that's a little bit of history going down when you cover with that boring ass asphalt.
You know, St. Louis used to make more bricks than almost anybody in the world.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, Johnny. Hey, I got to tell you something. I was at a function last evening on the Hill, just to give you a little feedback on the viewership and the people that tune in on this. There was a gentleman who I know. I don't talk to on a regular basis, but we bump into each other. And again, I was on the Hill, and he came up to me and he says, "Tom, how's your wife doing?" And I go, "My wife's doing great. Why do you ask?" And he goes, "Well, that fall that she took." And I referenced the fall. I said, "How do you know she fell?"
That is cool.
And he goes, "The podcast. You mentioned it on the podcast."
That's
so I thought it was
amazing.
pretty neat. Yeah,
That's good.
He's a regular viewer and listens in, and he's just a wonderful guy.
Well, tell him
a
hello. Does he have a
Southsider.
name?
Greg.
Tell Greg
Yeah, Greg's
hello,
his name.
and thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
But how is Mary's
Yeah.
face?
Mary's
Yeah,
still a
speaking
little
of Greg.
bruised. The swelling's gone down, but she's getting there. She's doing well. Thanks for
Okay.
asking, Danny.
All right. Well, tell her we said hello, and
And we
we
want her on
You
next
bet.
week's update.
Yeah, next week we want her instead of you.
Right.
No, we want you
You
both.
got it,
We want you
JJ.
both. Tommy, thanks for checking in with us, and we will
You bet.
see you next week. Peace.
You got it.
See you,
Love you
brother.
guys.
All right,
All right,
Tommy,
brother.
good.
Love
See you,
you.
boy.
What else
Tom-
you got, Danny?
Oh, I have a bunch of stuff, but first of all,
Shit written down.
I do. That's why I get here early.
Hey,
you
can
know.
we do our Paige Spears update?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, please.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Paige Spears,
producer
just for
John.
Everybody that,
Paige Pierce is calling in.
yeah. So
While he's calling in, producer John, I just want to make sure all our listeners are liking, subscribing, and sharing. When they see that button, it's going
Hit
to
it.
help. We'll be talking later about a new sponsor we have, and they're tracking that stuff. So he's going to hold us to the
Right.
coals. He says, I want to see what you guys can do, and we want to keep the blue wave going. So like, subscribe, and share, please.
good call. And then, but with Paige here, Paige is going to be coming on by phone here shortly. But he's just having a struggle trying to get like IDs and stuff, and he's got such a great spirit about it. He's laughing about it.
Man,
Yeah.
Good.
ready to go on?
You know, they thought he was dead.
I didn't know he was coming on.
Here.
Yeah, he's coming on. John's sending him a telegram now to his new phone.
You'll be able to hear everybody in a second.
Can I
He's
ask you-
trying them to do just be normal, and it's just real tough for
hard.
him. And one of the things that we're going to talk about when we're going to get Paige and Steve settled, and we're going to have them on a show. We're just going to do different stories and
I love
track the him becoming into just normal
Society.
again.
Hey, Paige, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you very good.
There you
Hey,
go.
Paige.
Hey, what's up,
welcome
brother?
Back.
Hey, how you guys doing?
How was your first week?
Oh man, it was hectic. I'll tell you, it was hectic, but very blessed at the same time.
What was the favorite thing you did all week?
Well, we know what that is.
It was the second favorite thing you did all week.
JJ, get your mind out of the gutter. JJ.
Sorry, Paige, but we know what the number one thing was. But go on.
Hey, all I can say is hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing you said.
All right,
the
what was
first
your
show.
second, third, and fourth
Yeah.
favorite things that you did or saw?
Yeah. Well, actually, I went out and ate at a real nice restaurant this week. That was really nice.
Where'd you go?
We went to this restaurant called Hibachi.
Oh, where they do all
Yeah.
that stuff right in front of you?
Oh yes, man, that was so wonderful, man. Out in Baldwin, that was really, really neat, man.
Awesome.
You know,
Did you have one of
Yeah.
those? One of the cooks that were entertaining?
they did.
They flipping up the egg and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Never seen nothing like that before. I say this is crazy.
Yeah, that's
know.
awesome.
They didn't have that in
Yeah.
Farmington?
No, they didn't.
This-
Yeah, they wasn't that fancy.
So,
But
Paige,
it
did you
was-
get
it
your
was-
state ID yet?
Well, no, I didn't. Actually, I went out to the Social Security office 2 days ago, and actually, I found out that I was no longer a dead person. They had me deceased.
Congratulations.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
back to the act.
Yeah,
That's bad when they think you're dead. Welcome back.
Yeah.
I'm
you
feeling
know,
better.
so
Look at
when
Monty Python. I'm feeling better.
I'm not quite dead yet.
Yeah. So what it is they say by me being incarcerated as long as I have, and the system has changed over the years.
Yeah.
They had mistakenly had me born in a different month and year, so that was the issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
So they actually found my social security number. So what they did was they set me up an appointment in the social security office 2 weeks down the line. So actually, I would not get an ID until I actually go through the process of going through the interview at the Social Security office, and then I will officially get my Social Security card, and then I will retrieve my ID after that. So right now, as things stand, I still got a prison ID, a birth certificate, and my release papers.
Okay.
But you're reborn.
Yeah, but you,
Well,
You're alive
actually,
again.
Cow.
yes,
You know,
yes,
that-
they had me born in September instead of
at
November.
least they make it easy.
Well, just like
Yes,
I
he
said
does.
last week when we were
Jeez.
talking with Paige, is that prison reform is that's a word that's just thrown out there. People
Yes.
just mention the word and they don't mean anything by it. They just like to use the word.
Yes.
But there's such a small things that they can do, like we talked about. Is just an ID. Can you give me an
Yes, an
ID
ID.
when
So I can
walk
go out and get started?
Right.
Yes.
And this release date's coming for months.
Yeah, it was no secret. The
Yes.
governor did it 4 months ago.
And it's the
4 months
state
ago.
dealing with the state.
Yeah.
Okay, we're the state penitentiary. What we
Yes.
need is a computer, just one computer, that we can make state IDs from.
Yeah.
Yes.
How hard? That can't be hard, can it?
No. Well,
I mean, I'm
for
just-
me, it would be hard, but.
Right. Well, yeah.
Naturally.
Yes. Yeah, that should be a very, very easy process.
I
because
agree,
it
Paige.
really help a person transition out of this place like this, because right now I still got to be still for 2 more weeks before I can even get an interview with the Social Security office.
Oh, my God. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
let's get to some other observations you made in the last week. So we had you on a week ago. You're out
Yeah.
there doing things. You got any funny observations that of how things have changed over 37 years?
Well, actually, I experienced I was riding with my brother. I experienced my first road rage. That was crazy.
First road rage. Okay. What was it?
Oh, man, a guy, he pulled up, man, in F-150, and I guess my brother didn't pull off quick enough, and, man, I got the finger and the fist bump, and it was like crazy. This guy was furious. He looked like a rock water in the face, man.
What'd you do?
And, I just looked at him like he was crazy.
Yeah.
I said, I can't do anything.
Paige, about last year, I told a story about my 95-year-old mom. She quit driving when she was 92, but she told me
Oh,
that
wow.
she accidentally cut somebody off when she was 92, and they pulled up next to her at the light, at the red light, and it started flipping my 92-year-old mom off, flipping her off, and she just rolled down the window and waved and said, "Hi, I haven't seen you in a long time."
Yep.
And the person like pulled their finger like, "Who am I flipping off?"
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
I think, oh my God, I must know her.
You'd have to feel horrible.
You feel horrible. I just flipped off my, whatever. So that was her plan.
Hey, Paige, I got a question,
wow.
brother.
Yeah.
Yoga pants? Question mark.
Uh-huh.
Have you noticed anybody that wear the tight, skin tight yoga pants?
What is up with
Oh,
JJ?
yes.
I don't know why I asked that, but he didn't see that when he went in.
You're like
no,
Dr.
I-
Ruth.
I didn't-
Doctor,
I'm getting thumbs up in the
or-
crowd right now, dude.
Yeah,
So you-
or like a lot of these guys are like the Richard Simmons of the day. And it's like, oh my goodness,
I'm talking about the girls, not the guys.
with those. Well, actually,
What?
I was at the license bureau place, trying to still get a state ID after I lost the Social Security's office, and I'll tell you, man, this one girl came in, I thought she was in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah. Trust me.
I said, oh my goodness,
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I say, do they realize I just got out of prison for 37 years, man?
Oh, my God.
But that's the thing is when and you did you get out of prison after 37 years, and when you're trying to go get all this, from job interviews to whatever you're trying to do, whether it be get an ID, everybody wants to see your ID, and you still,
Yes.
you're a week, 10 days out of prison now,
Yes.
and you still have to show everybody all your prison paperwork.
Yes.
And one of the questions is, blah, so you're in prison? Yeah, I was in prison for 37 years.
Yes.
Well, and you can say what you want, but when you tell somebody you've been in prison for 37 years, the thoughts that go through their mind are probably
Not good.
right.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
and that's what I'm saying is by getting this ID is that at least you don't have to start with that. Right now,
Yes.
that's a starting point for Paige.
Yeah,
Well,
I just got
it's a
out
good
of prison.
point.
We get you.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
You know, so
we got
need
the
to
point.
we need to figure that out, Johnny.
We'll
Something we
figure
can
that.
get a hold
We're
of.
going to help them out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Paige, we're going to
yeah.
check in with you from time to
Check in.
time
We're going to have a show.
and have a show. So,
Oh yeah. Oh,
but we
man.
appreciate you calling in, and
Yes,
we will be
yes,
in touch
yes.
soon.
I got a good story for
Hey.
all of us. I was talking to Steve 2 days ago,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
and he's talking about, doing podcasts, and he goes, goes, yeah, I was sitting there talking to Shirley, his gal, and he's like, you guys are in 51 countries and you have like 5 million viewers. I go, Dan just made all that shit up.
What'd she say? No more podcasts? You can't hold pod.
Yeah, now they're going over to Joe Rogan now.
Oh God.
We don't fact check on here, Paige. You can say anything on the upcoming shows.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
But
That's
we
right.
might. Dan might be right. I don't know because I don't fact check.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
Paige.
And I always enjoy communicating with you guys, man. You guys are awesome, man. I'm looking forward to moving forward. To talk about reentry, prison reform. Just a lot of things, man. That's on the table that I think would be very exciting, man, for us to really touch base on.
We're on board, and you're on the team.
And JJ only wants to talk about sex.
Yeah,
Right.
JJ just has
JJ.
one track mind.
Oh,
Hey.
JJ.
Dr. Ruth.
Let's end it.
Paige, you and I'll talk on the side.
We'll
next time
be
you're here.
in touch.
We'll be in touch, buddy.
Okay,
Thank
man.
you.
Peace
All
out,
right,
Paige.
Peace.
All
See you,
right,
brother.
Thank you, guys. Peace. All right,
Yep.
bye.
Unbelievable. Man, hey, JJ, do you have a Zen? And is it going to be something inappropriate like you've been most of this podcast?
It's for who we had on for today.
Who?
We're talking about, we had
Mark
Mark
Kurkowski.
Kurkowski on. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about,
You
stalkers.
forgot his name real quick, didn't you?
His
I didn't
Zen's
know.
about stalkers?
Pretty much, yeah. It's not a Zen.
feel
It's just
peaceful now.
I don't know if
Let's hear it.
it's a statement.
Okay, let's hear it.
Lesson 1. For anyone interested in stalkers, never. Ah, fuck it. I got to look my glasses on.
Here we
dude.
go, and we're off.
I was not prepared because.
I mean, because we don't do a Zen every
we never
podcast.
ever asked you.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere. Lesson 1. For anyone interested, stalking never was, is, or will be romantic ever. And I also have another one we could do, but I'll just
Right.
leave it there.
I'd do the other one.
That was do the other
I
one.
would definitely do the other one.
I mean,
too.
that was a great statement,
right.
but it doesn't give me
That was like
meditative
that was almost
peace.
like
just-
that was more of a threat than a Zen.
Yeah, that was
okay.
that was like a temper tantrum.
It is-
His
well,
Zen was a temper tantrum. The Dalai Lama with a butcher knife.
This ain't gonna be much better, but I'm gonna do another one. But I like it.
We've gone from the Zen
Hey,
to
this,
the
all
threat.
right, this,
to
is,
JJ's
this is not
threat.
Zen. This is-
Listen, motherfuckers.
Zen
Listen.
by Charlie Manson.
you cannot do a Zen for a stalker.
You can only kill so many people a day.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just get tired.
You just get tired.
Here we go. Can I do this one?
Hurry up.
All right. This is not. All right. I'll be honest. This is non-Zen.
What the? You have one job.
No, but I think it's appropriate for this.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
I'm an anti-stalker person, and it makes me mad. So stalking is not normal behavior. They show a person with a shaky grasp on reality and sociopathic tendencies. That's my Zen.
I'm just picturing myself meditating.
No,
Say that
no.
one again. I was not paying attention. I'm trying to
Stalking
answer
is
the
not
text
normal
here.
behavior. They show a person with a shaky grasp of reality and sociopathic tendencies.
For the first time, we're going to cut JJ out.
I hope you do,
Yeah, I
dude.
mean-
I hope you do because it really isn't
He
Zen.
finally might get his shit cut.
We for the first
Good.
time.
He's been asking
He's
for
been
it.
begging forever to cut his shit
I
out.
want to talk about stalkers.
Hasn't your brother Dick sent you
All
a
right.
Zen that's like a
All right,
peaceful,
all right. No,
loving?
yeah. Blah 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 blah. I will do a Zen next week, but this week I can't do a Zen with stalkers. Is our
I'm
topic.
calling Dick up right now because
Please give us a Zen.
Say that, if you wanted some printing done, you know where you go, Danny?
Marvell Printing. We know.
damn right you
Friends
do.
of the podcast.
Yep.
1928 South Broadway, 314-231-1477 for all your business and personal needs. If you need some, cards, or you need.
I love it.
Or if you decide to run for office,
Yeah.
you need some yard signs.
Yep.
Howard for, I don't know.
don't
Howard for
Alderman.
neighborhood.
Alderman.
I was just leave it alone. I was gonna say something very cruel, but
We
I
had
was
a
leave it.
speaking of cruel, we had a cruel hailstorm that came through.
oh yeah,
That's good.
And
it damaged a lot of cars.
damaged a lot of cars.
Damaged my
and
house.
Schicker Ford of St. Louis is having a hail sale. Small dings get you huge savings at Schicker Ford.
Come on now.
All locations, used and new cars. Mention that the Brighter Side of Blue sent you, and you get Huge discounts. You get
like
cars with less dings.
I think
6
you
less
get
dings.
5 dings removed free.
5 dings removed free.
Right. Just tell them we
kinda.
sent you.
Yeah. So
Know that.
Sugar Ford of St. Louis, hail sale.
Yep.
Go see them.
Hell yes.
That's what I.
If you break down on the way there, call their mobile service van. Come fix your car. Get on down to the sale.
You know it.
Get on down there.
And then if you want to be healthy, you know where you go, JJ?
Or if you have a small ding.
Only our advertisements can break off into that.
Oh.
If you have-
I'm not going to make a comment on
I
this.
don't even know where we go with that. It's
If
tough
you
to
have
go-
a small ding,
You go to
hey, you might want to go to Prime Performance for that. I don't know.
It actually works out really good.
I don't know.
Good-
They got
good
hormone therapy and
good
stuff.
segue deal.
Testosterone therapy.
Right. Go to, yeah.
I don't know that
Yes.
about a ding, but they got vitamin injection, medical weight loss, IV therapy, peptides. Where are they located at, JJ? You don't have that, do you?
I do, sort of.
Where you got?
44.
What do you got?
In Fenton Plaza.
44 Fenton Plaza. Yep.
And then 1222 Central
Park Drive.
Park Drive in O'Fallon,
O'Fallon,
Illinois.
Yep.
Illinois.
all right.
Illinois.
Very good.
The Worm family, 2 of the top guys, are law
Right.
enforcement friendly.
Yep.
Tell them we sent you. You get a discount on that too.
And
One of our first listeners on the podcast has been with us since day one. Kevin Jones is in the audience. He's back there eating some of the Zebos.
Producer John's longtime friend.
Producer John's lost, and I've known him forever. But he came in and told a story. He was going on a road trip with the boys and wanted some cigars, and they stopped by to see the Ponder brothers.
Yep. Oh,
And he got hooked up.
Dan Ponder, but Kevin Ponders is, I mean, they're a big family of the police.
Yeah. They're not the BMX.
But Dan Ponder with Riverman Cigar Company, not only did Kevin go, but Ricky Ray went. Ricky Ray had a friend had some our grandkids, and Ricky Ray went down there and got some cigars. Said we're going to smoke this cigar in for your in honor of your baby being born. The baby
Very
boy,
nice.
right, Rick? Baby boy. So Rick went down there and seen Dan too. So if you need, Dan is the man with the cigar bands. $5, $3, $100, $500, whatever you want. Dan's got it.
Very good.
I think Dan. I'm hopefully it's over 1,500. You need that one cigar up there that's like $7,000.
right.
Producer John.
It just sits up there.
Yep.
Are you sitting on a newsroom.com that's actually about newsroom.com and not like this, whatever this Zen thing was tonight?
Lesson 1 for anyone interested. Stalkers never was, is, or will be romantic ever.
Oh, good God, he's not
JJ,
giving up on it.
Doubling down.
I couldn't have said it any better,
Fuck
JJ.
them stalkers. And that'll be as a part of the GFY too. What
Lots are
about
coming up.
security?
Oh, the Campbell Security Group.
Right. Because I mean, I'm telling you, like if you were to get a really bad stalker, then you're like, okay, I'm going to spend some of my own money because I need this person protected. CampbellSecurityGroup.com.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm promising you, you hire them, stalkers will be immobilized.
Mark and Corby.
And what's that?
I call Mark and Corby if I was being stalked.
And we're back as promised, the brighter side of blue. Excited about our guest. Not as excited as JJ is. JJ has so many stalking questions. It's almost like you're preparing for something. I don't know what you're doing. But we have retired Detective Mark Kurkowski, 27-year veteran of the SLMPD, retired from the DART unit, for those that don't know, and for those overseas, Domestic Abuse Response Team, the DART. Well, I tell you what, when I was a commander, you guys were a godsend coming to scenes. I mean, especially, I like the way you phrased it in your resume. You specialized in intimate partner violence, stalking, and harassment. And before DART came about, we were just officers on the scene with sergeants. We didn't know what the hell to do or how to handle this stuff. But Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And now you're the owner or you're the CEO of Kurkowski Consulting and Training.
That is correct.
And you specialize in intimate partner violence and such.
And stalking, yes. I train nationally with several agencies at the national level, providing training for law enforcement, prosecutors, victim advocates, nurses in the field. And then also one of my focuses right now is workplace violence, specifically looking at what to do, how to handle incidents of domestic violence and stalking when they enter the workplace.
At the workplace, between fellow employees?
It could be employee on employee, employee supervisor, vendor, employee. Could be a wide range of
Producer and
relationships.
host? Could you do some help with the producer and host?
That's
type
true
stuff?
too. Yes.
Okay.
'Cause we do have a lot of harassment that goes on at this show.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you listen to all the things, but I think we do, like in workplaces, I'm sure there's that line that can be crossed at times. We're habitual line steppers. So, but thanks for coming on, Mark. And couple weeks ago, I think at JJ and told a story about his daughter getting stalked, or his daughter's friend, I believe.
Both of them,
And daughter
basically.
was
Part of it.
and it's just an interesting subject because of how these things, you know, the emotion that's involved in them, how many people it affects. So we really thought it would be, and then he ran into you, and we're like, that's a perfect thing. So, and then you said, hell yeah, come on and tell some story. And
Sure.
We're gonna get into some stories, but we're also gonna get into what to do, because we do have a lot of female listeners and male listeners too. I mean, this is a very touchy subject where, you know, when harassment becomes stalking and the things you can do. So appreciate you coming on, and we'll let JJ start off the questioning.
Okay.
Well, Mark, it's one of these subjects that really fascinates me, and not fascinates the wrong word, but it's came into my life a little bit. And I told the story earlier. I've had so many people over the years call me, and it's either a dad calling for his daughter who's being stalked, or it's just a wide range. But I've had multiple people call me about guys that stalk them, and it just, to me, it's just I think they're psychopaths because they don't catch clues, right? I mean, actually, I think they are considered psychopaths when they cross the line so far, correct?
Well, it depends on the relationship more often. If it's an intimate partner relationship where it's an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, ex-spouse, that type of relationship, it's more of a, not a mental illness, but part of a control issue,
Right?
And power and control, just like our
But
intimate
they
partner.
never seem to be in reality because they don't take they don't take no for an answer, right? Which I think, and the one that I dealt with, the kid really, after we did the restraining order on him, he still thought that she liked him, and she's like, no, we're cool now. He just never got the answer, and I know he finally left her alone, and then he moved on, because that's how you and I got connected, because you called me out of the blue and said, hey, I'm looking at a report of this guy that did this, and your daughter's in the report, and her friend Lindsay. And I'm like, yeah. And like, I said, who did he creep out now? And he kind of crossed the line. He went. They always go a little bit further and a little bit further. But my question is, how many? I got a bunch of questions actually, but how many of stalkers they start out? I think it's going to be less. There's fewer of them that start out in a relationship, a sexual relationship. And I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, which I could be, I think most of them are guys that are in this fantasy land thinking that they like them, and they never even have that connection sexually or boyfriend, girlfriend
No
connection.
intimacy. They just want
They
it.
they take their niceness as clues of being that they like them. Is how accurate is that?
And that could happen. I mean, based
How was
on
that for a question, by the way?
That's-
That was
that's
like
good.
plowing a field.
Uh,
We just plowed an entire field to get to this question. But go
But
ahead. Sorry.
I do like what you mentioned earlier, especially when there's an order of protection involved, because these offenders, if they're still offending after getting served an order of protection, after a judge tells them, hey, stop your behavior, and it continues, that's
Right.
what's concerning, because that's where it becomes an issue for law enforcement. And I don't have to tell anybody here, for us responding to these types of incidents, it's extremely dangerous for us, whether it's serving an order of protection or responding to these type of calls. It becomes an issue, and the threats that are along with that could be an issue too. And especially if that offender got that order of protection and still that behavior continues, that's where it's a concern for us, and we should be looking at that as part of our threat assessment too.
Well, I want to ask you, you were on the Netflix series I Am a Stalker.
I am. I'm not the stalker. I'm the
No, you're not.
You were on the
You're not.
show.
You were on the show.
That's
They
correct.
they use your expertise, and it was the one
Yeah, let's
intimate.
clear
They
that
were,
up real quick.
and they were intimate. They were intimate friends. So and then they were friends. They were good friends, and then and he just took advantage of it and became like this crazy stalker. I mean, now he's in the penitentiary. And what did he? They didn't really say that in the Netflix series. What did he do that was so other than stealing the car?
Well,
And
he did a multitude of things.
Well,
And you brought up a relationship. It's kind of similar sometimes where you're kind of discussing. That was not an intimate relationship.
Mhm.
That was a workplace where they actually first met. And then the victim in that case allowed him into her life.
right.
He ended up stealing over $120,000.
Oh, yeah. That's what I want to ask.
Um,
They never answered. Did she ever get her money back?
I don't know if that's a good question. I don't know if she did. But ultimately, he was charged with a conspiracy to murder because while he was in jail,
Right.
he ended up telling a cellmate his plans on kind of making sure she hushes.
We drew a map of her home.
He drew a map of her home and things
wow.
like that. So when you see that, and hopefully, if we're law enforcement doing that investigation, that would come out as part of that threat assessment. And obviously that's something we would be concerned about. He was charged with it. But I think the last I heard, and this was in 2024, he got 13 years, but they dropped the conspiracy to murder charge
Really?
as part of the plea deal.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
And so workplace harassment. So I asked, what's the difference between where does harassment become stalking?
And that's a great question. I think right off the bat, harassment oftentimes is a single event, at one incident without what is called course of conduct, which you have to have here in the state of Missouri as part of your stalking statute. So a course of conduct, by definition, in the state of Missouri has to be 2 or more incidents. So whether it be phone calls, emails, social media postings, following, using GPS devices, whatever the case might be, you have to have 2 or more incidents over a period of time.
And then like I said, in these workplace things, is it always a male and a female, or sometimes is it like female and female? And
It can be both.
to where it's
Both.
not so much a sexual thing, it's more of I hate you thing.
Well, it depends on the situation, but we do know males are offenders more often than women.
Okay.
Statistically, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men are stalked annually. So that's a pretty big number.
Damn.
And of course, when we look at that statistic,
1 in 3.
1 in 3 women are stalked.
and 1 in 6 men, but that
I've been there.
statistic doesn't look specifically at reported incidents because we know a lot of these incidents go unreported.
Jeez Louise.
And the male getting stalked is kind of an outlier. He's at 1 in 6, but the way things get handled in stalking cases, and I'm talking about from the family. So, because if the police get involved, that's one thing. You're letting the police do their thing, but sometimes the police can't be everywhere, and you have a situation that's very emotional for your family. And when a male is stalking, like within JJ's a daughter, or your instinct is to I'm gonna kick his ass.
Right.
And like JJ said in his story, he says, today I'm coming at you as a policeman. Next time I'm going to come at you as a father.
Right. And that's a good point because, I've handled more than one cases, obviously a bunch of cases where this type of incident and that relationship was happening, especially with a family member. And you have to remember these stalkers aren't necessarily
Normal.
well, they might not be normal, but they do know how to push the buttons.
Right.
And a lot of times, especially if you're a police officer, well, I'm going to take care of this myself. Well, that offender knows, well, he's going to push that button hard enough to make you do something, and then he's going to file a complaint against you, and then here you are in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's been cases like that have happened, unfortunately.
Well, I asked you earlier, and I think you probably read the books too, called The Gift of Fear by Gavin
DeBecker.
and then Blake. And it's about intuition, gut feelings, and a lot of people, you can save your life by your gut feeling. You just know something's wrong. How many of these stalkers, or the victims of stalkers, had those feelings early, that gut feeling, there's something ain't right about this guy, and then it became the fruition.
Oh, and that definitely happens. And, everybody likes to say, oh, I'm paranoid. in these
Right,
type
right,
of
right, yeah, yeah.
situations, but it's not really a paranoia. It's hypervigilance.
Right.
That's what I tell, if I'm working with a victim, it's not a paranoia, it's hypervigilance. And you have to have that as part of your
Right.
safety as an individual. And I think that's important. And a lot of cases do require that. So
Wow. I think JJ asked earlier, was going to ask this, so I'm stealing your question. But out of stalking cases, what percentage would you say of stalking cases, male or female, was there an original intimate relationship?
well, obviously in the DART unit, that's our main relationship. We had a certain criteria before we would handle an investigation. So most of our cases that we would handle were intimate partners. But there were some other cases where I did get involved, whether it be a political figure or news reporter, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that being more like the intimate partners becoming, when they get divorced and things don't go right for them.
Right.
And
More
I've dealt with something recently with that. With the ex-husband has lost his mind, and the wife has moved on and married, and it's insane how that they just don't catch on to reality to me.
Yeah, a lot of these guys will do that. They'll focus on that target and then move to another target close to that victim, whether it be a family member, friend, coworker, or whatnot.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And so, are there serial stalkers?
Definitely. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of literature out there and studies on serial stalking, but I think it's something that we should be really focusing on.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as part of a member of the cyber stalking task force that we're creating statewide, that has been created statewide by Governor Kehoe. I'm hoping that's one entity that we look at, because I think it's really necessary, because these offenders won't just target one individual. They'll move on to somebody else.
Keep on trucking.
And oftentimes they continue to focus on that one target as well. So,
Wow. So now Kurkowski Consulting and Training. So you specialize now in from the first call of a domestic stalking or domestic violence, or whatever, through prosecution, through the whole process. Is that what you specialize in now?
well, I mean, that's what we did.
That was kind of like a
in
JJ
our-
question right there. It didn't come out too fluidly, but you guys you're experts from the start to the end, the whole
Right.
process now.
And so from the training aspect of things, like I said earlier, I focus on law enforcement, prosecutors, judges, victim advocates, nurses, in the training aspect of things. But I am teaming up with the Crime Victim Center here in St. Louis and really focusing on workplace incidents as well. So if a workplace has an incident where domestic violence or stalking is occurring at that location, the state of Missouri requires now businesses to do certain things, and that's called the VESSA law. It's the Victim Economic Safety and Security Act. So that's where we come in and we help those businesses all the way from the beginning all the way to the end. If the incident happens at a workplace, it now has to be investigated, so we can do that. The CVC provides advocacy. We can do threat assessments, whatever is needed for that business.
Very good. Now I got one short question, then
Well, which is it?
two questions actually. I forgot them. No. Where you came in? You came in from Jeff City today.
Yes.
And what were you doing in Jeff City?
So we had the meeting with the Cyber Stalking and Harassment Task Force.
Okay.
And that was created by state statute last year, and it officially formed. And now we're looking at gaps that are in the system to make sure that we cover those gaps, and hopefully create some new laws that need to be updated, because unfortunately the use of technology, artificial intelligence, those types of things aren't addressed right now in the statute.
Okay. I thought I have another question. When you first started in DART, do you find that there's more stalking cases now, or are we just more aware of them now?
And that's a really good question, because I'll be honest with you, in the beginning,
Go ahead.
in the beginning, I missed it too. And unfortunately, law enforcement, we weren't connecting the dots,
Right.
And especially in intimate partner cases. And I'll give you a quick scenario. one of the first cases I handled as part of the stalking grant. We had a stalking grant specifically to look at those incidents of stalking, orders of protection incidents, and sexual assault cases, because those often co-occur. And for law enforcement, we would respond. And what do we do when we go to that call? We are focused on that one call at hand.
Right.
When we look at stalking, we have to look at the bigger picture and see what else is occurring. So one of the first cases I got was an assault third case. And when the officer contacted me, he goes, yeah, it's an assault third, but there's numerous incidents. I didn't even check. Went to the scene, and sure enough, the victim had a bloody nose, a black eye already. And she reported on 6 different incidents. This guy approached her with a handgun and pointed a handgun directly at her on 6 different incidents. So, and we couldn't catch up. Nobody was able to find the offender. So when I got involved right away, I actually took the case to the circuit attorney's office to try to get a warrant issued. And surprisingly, they did that.
Oh, good.
And once you do that, as you know, we got the fast unit. And
Right.
that's
Go
the nice
find 'em.
thing about our department. We had those agents, other agencies that interacted.
So didn't he have a warrant form for the very first time he flourished her with a gun?
No, so they were all wanteds until
wow.
it got to me. And then what I
Okay,
did
I got you.
was not just charge that assault third incident, but also the unlawful use of a handgun, flourishing of a handgun, and then also armed criminal act.
Real quick, explain what a difference between wanted is and a warrant.
Right. So a
people don't
wanted
understand
is we do our investigation at the scene. We place the individual wanted. A warrant is actually we do the investigation. We get all the evidence together. We present it to the circuit attorney's office, and they issue
Right.
that
And
warrant.
you have your case already.
Right.
So, the FBI has these profilers for serial killers and all that stuff, and they always do these profilers, and there's actually FBI profilers. Have you ever, is there a profile for stalkers? Is there any benefit to ever interviewing a past and convicted stalker and gaining knowledge or from
Well,
them?
unfortunately, some of these incidents can lead to homicide, and that's what I always look at is when we're looking at stalking cases, it's a precursor to homicide often.
Oh, wow. That's scary.
And unfortunately, and I'm going to use the old statistic. Apparently, there's a new statistic, but Missouri is ranked number 2 in the country for intimate partner homicides.
Wow.
And a lot of these
Wow.
homicides are stemming from stalking incidents as well.
Oh, wow.
And that's what you talked about earlier. Early on, law enforcement wasn't identifying the stalking behavior, even though it was present, because we would always focus on those incident-based calls through 911.
Wow.
So when someone's being stalked and they call the police, is there after the case, what kind of help do they get? Because I know this is the scars these girls, or I guess guys too, they get scarred after this. And like the one that you did the show on, this girl lives in fear. She says she's dealing with it now, but forever, it's still in the back of their minds. Their life has changed forever because of the stalker.
Oh, absolutely.
So what kind of what kind of programs they have for people?
What's really good about the St. Louis area, there are numerous agencies out there. There's a Crime Victim Center, there's Safe Connections, there's St. Martha's Hall, which is a shelter for abused women and children. There's a ton of resources out there, and I think that's what's really important is just to make sure that the information gets out there.
Right.
Because there is help that you can get out there for sure. So,
Mark, I'd like you to tell us off the top of your head the most the first stalking case that comes to your head that just kind of sticks with you or rubs you wrong, or just we find appalling or
egregious.
I think one of the top ones, when I say that, I mean they're all important, obviously,
Right.
But in this case, the offender kidnapped. It was an intimate partner case. He kidnapped her from her residence, drove her to another location where he forcibly raped her, sodomized her, physically assaulted her numerous times. There were 7 or 8 different felony charges in that case. And then after the incident, while we were trying to put the case together, he started sending flowers, gifts to the house. And when we do that, stalking is kind of a unique crime in the sense that if you send flowers to somebody, is that a crime? know, right?
It's creepy.
But it's part of the course of conduct you can use as a separate act of that course
Right.
of conduct. So that's what we did. And in that case, we also charged aggravated stalking. And as a result of that case, that offender was sentenced to 87 years in prison.
Wow.
Nice.
Good.
While that
that's-
offender was in prison, he ended up killing another inmate. So yeah, it was.
Why? Do you
kind
know
of-
any of the story of that?
I don't, but I just, when I heard it on the news,
It shows he had the ability,
Right.
or had the mindset
Oh,
to
yeah,
kill somebody.
Yeah, he would kill somebody.
Well, he's
Now,
a psychopath because if you did what he did to her,
Yeah.
sodomized her, all this mean things he did to her,
Yeah.
and then he sends her flowers thinking, oh, she still loves me. I mean, I think that's just a crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
and that's part of the power and control too, though, because
Yeah.
this was an intimate partner case too that know
Wow.
really showed how far these offenders.
So, Mark, I know a lot of people that and when you came on, I listened to some stalking cases, and one of the things that you heard a lot was sometimes the victims feel that the stalkers have more rights than them, to where, they, like you said, sending flowers isn't a crime, but to them it's you got to be kidding me. Where the police are kind of, and they do certain things that isn't in and of itself all that threatening, but when it's done in a pattern that, as a father or a mother or of a kid, you're just like, this guy's a creep.
Yeah.
What can they do? And then is that something that your company can, you're consulting? Obviously, consulting is advice. Do you help families out that are going through this?
Yeah, and it brings up the point again, when these offenders are acting out, and again, I lost my concentration what I was going to say.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, that was me every week.
But when these offenders do that, obviously, I think the biggest advice, if you're looking for advice in any stalking case, is making sure you have documentation. Get all the evidence, if it's text messages, emails, social media, any other type of technology that's being used, whether
And that's right when your gut thinks that this might
happens. Yeah,
Trust your hypervigilance as well, as they say, right?
Oh, yeah,
Because it's
and
legit.
that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I think there's a really good documentation log on the Stalking Prevention Awareness Resource Center website that you can use, and that's what I suggest using, because I've had victims come in with 300 pages of information, but it's more of a diary. And unfortunately, when
from
you
thought
bring that,
rather than evidence.
when you bring that in, all of that gets entered into evidence. And when you do that, who's going to get that? The defense attorney, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that defense attorney is going to give it to that offender.
Right.
So now he just has everything
Yeah.
that makes her feel afraid and all of that. So it's really important to make sure that you document it, but document it in a way that's
But is one of the things
Presentable.
that your consulting company offers, can you help families out with the, delays on between law enforcement? Because sometimes that's what aggravates people the most. And then sometimes a guy like yourself, who's got prior law enforcement experience, can help that whole situation out.
right.
And then any expertise. Because a
Right.
lot of the people, and I'm not, detectives and everybody else, depending on how long they've been in the job, might not know as much as you,
Right.
because you do specialize in this.
And I think the other thing, I mentioned that 87-year prison sentence for that case. I want to make this clear. That's not normal
Right.
for stalking,
Right.
especially if you only have stalking and an order protection violation. And that's why these cases don't get reported a lot of times, because these offenders are getting right back out of jail.
Right.
And it's a revolving door. But on that same token, like I tell victims at that point, well, that's part of the documentation process, because every time you make that arrest, he gets released, he acts out again, you make another report, that develops that course of conduct
Yeah.
over a period of time.
And that's what let's just say, if there's any victims out there or people that know some people that are going through this, is as soon as you get that gut instinct, start getting as much,
Yep,
take
absolutely.
screenshots,
Absolutely.
record everything you can.
Yes.
Is there something that they can do that, just I don't, like Danny was talking about earlier, like a profile of a stalker. Is there something that has aggravated them or made them go away in the past, or are they past that whole threatening? Like you said, are they just in it to push button?
Yeah, I think and like I said, most of the cases I have handled are intimate partner cases, and those cases involve that power and control, just like our domestic violence cases are. But there are cases where if it's a celebrity news reporter, things like that, that's where that stranger relationship comes into play, and that's where some mental illness.
Host of the brighter side of blue.
Are those usually your more, I shouldn't say, because domestic violence is obviously an absolute, tragedy. I mean, it happens all the time. But are those stalking cases that include strangers, are those guys more dangerous than the intimate partner?
I always like to say I treat all stalkers dangerous because
Okay.
they are. Because unfortunately, it's a type of
that's-
crime that can lead to homicide.
So, Mark, documentation, trust your hypervigilance. I love that word. I'll use it throughout the podcast forever now. But is there, at what point, is there too early to contact the authorities? Is like, okay, they trust their hypervigilance. They've had their first, what do you call it, the code of conduct or whatever? Course of conduct. Is it ever too early to say, hey, man, this is going the wrong way? Or
Well, I think, if you don't know, reach out to a victim advocate, because they're ones that are familiar with stalking and that can help that victim go through that process and can help them guide them. Do you have enough for stalking? And if not, call 911. Worst case is if we don't have a stalking case yet, you have a 911 call.
Yeah, got you.
You might have a harassment case instead of stalking, which I don't necessarily
But it starts the
like.
process.
I always say if you have the elements of the crime to charge stalking.
Yeah.
If not, then go with that harassment charge, because if you're charging that harassment charge, you're documenting that incident. And if you have to keep doing that repetitive behavior, that's where it becomes stalking.
Right. I got one more thing, and I'll be done with you. So, intimate relationships, they start out good, right? At some point, they have to have that gut feeling we talked about. It's like, this is going not so good. This guy's starting to creep me out. There's signs that they get that they ignore. Oh, he just really likes me, or he's a really good guy. And they stay in the relationship until it's too late. Do you see, once they see those signs, wouldn't you say, hey, it's not going to get better. You need to get out.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately, it's just like in our intimate partner violence cases, when you're trying to get away from that offender, statistically, it takes about 6 times.
I was going to say 6 or 7. I remember that stat. 6 or 7 times you go back.
But in stalking cases, it jumps up to 9.
Oh, wow.
So, and a lot of times you said it perfectly again, Jim. I know you guys are going to laugh when I say that, but you make a good point that these offenders know how to push those buttons, and that victim might not even understand or realize that stalking behavior is ongoing while that offender's still in that house, and that could create a whole bunch of issues. So
that's awesome.
Here,
go ahead.
I got a story, and I was telling one of our buddies that you were coming on and that you specialized in stalking. He says, "Hey, tell him about a case that we're working with now." And the story goes, stick with me here, is that 2 high school buddies, the one guy was normal and they considered the other guy, he was one of those, kind of a weird fellow, but he was a high school friend, and they took care of him, and they were friends with him. Well, the one friend marries a gal, and they're married have a kid, and they're married for several years. As soon as they get a divorce, his buddy, who was his high school buddy, starts stalking the ex-wife. Stalks her here in Missouri, starts here in Missouri. She ends up getting remarried, moving, and I don't know the exact state, just for example, Alabama. And the stalking gets worse. Phone, computer, he's figuring out every move they're making. The state that she's in issues a felony stalking case against him. However, they know it's going on still here. They won't extradite. So the guy just sits there and law enforcement can't do anything. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, in those types of cases where that stalking behavior crosses jurisdictional boundaries into another state.
But he hasn't crossed, right? He hasn't crossed.
He hasn't crossed.
Well, they should invite him to Alabama. She should invite him to Alabama.
Oh, was he contacting her while down there, though?
Yes.
So he's been here the whole time.
So he's been here, and he's contacting that target in another state. Phone calls, text messages,
Computers,
the like.
stuff.
Okay. So at that point, that behavior constitutes interstate stalking.
There you go.
So that is a way that the U.S. Attorney's Office could take precedent
Okay.
over the case. Now,
Good.
normally, as you all know, we would do that investigation. We present it to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the U.S. Attorney's Office could issue an interstate stalking charge or stalking federal statute, and then go down
All right.
and pick them up, or
Well,
however they
send
want
them
to
that
do
advice.
But anytime you have that behavior crosses jurisdictional state boundaries, it becomes interstate stalking.
Wow. Good. Wow. Good
The
show.
other one I was going to get at, Danny, real quick, is that so we've you know, JJ as a father of a daughter, we went through how he would act, but when it's a female like stalking a son, the father doesn't have that same emotion. You know what as a
Right.
father, you're like, hey man, toughen up, dude. You know, but it's probably just as
Right.
annoying and
Well,
just as
and
mentally
it can be
stressful.
especially.
Yeah.
It depends on what is occurring too.
Right.
You know, and for my experience in handling male victims is a lot of times, well, I'm not afraid of her.
Right.
But just because that individual says I'm not afraid, it's amazing the cases that I've handled where it's a flourishing of a handgun and there's physical assaults
Yeah.
going, but the male will say, oh, I'm not afraid of her. Well, in actuality, it's still part of that stalking behavior.
Right. I think
You know, so-
stalking mainly is it's the mental grueling.
Right.
It's every day just
Overbearing.
when's this dude,
Yeah.
It
or
definitely
when gal
has
or
a-
dude going to stop calling me.
Definitely has a huge impact on our victims with that.
Yeah, that and then but the emotions when the female is the stalker, the emotions are the same, but it's not that, you know, because when it's a dude, the emotion is I'm just going to go beat the piss out of him. When it's a gal, you know, it's almost to the point where if anybody does that, she looks like the star because they've driven you to a point, they've just taken you over the line. You smack this, you know, you smack people around, and it's you getting locked up, even though you have, you know, we always used to say in court, you know, you can do one of the defenses should be he had a point. You know,
I
And
understand.
I think it goes
It's
back
just- yeah.
to still making sure documentation, you
Right.
know, because if you're that male,
just in
victim
case
that
you could,
you're-
just in case you hit him, you're like, hey
and
man,
it doesn't matter if you're male or
Exactly.
female, you want to document. So if you have to take action,
right? I'm
you're
with you.
protecting yourself, protecting your family, and
Kind of like
some
firing
these
somebody,
cases-
right? When you got to fire somebody, you document why you're going to fire him because you know you're about to, you know you're going to have to fire the dude.
Right.
Yeah,
And some of
okay.
these cases
All right.
have went to the extreme where the offender comes on the property and the family shoots and kills the offender. So, I mean, it's these types of cases
Yeah.
that can really get out of hand.
Very
quick,
interesting
and
stuff,
that's why
Mark.
Very interesting stuff. But the stat that that shocked me the most is 1 out of 3 women and 1 out of 6 men will be stalked. That's scary. Mark, thank you so much
Very good.
for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Good luck.
You want to give one last plug to your website?
Oh, KurkowskiConsult.com.
Yes. All right. Mark, thank
the first and only interview I ever heard the guest say, "Good question to JJ."
That's-
And the point.
That's not true. That is so false.
Fucking,
Not only
dude,
one.
fucking,
That ain't
you're on
true.
a hot streak. Stop.
Hey, didn't your dad didn't your wife say stop being mean to me?
Yeah.
You're being mean.
Oh yeah, no
Call them
kidding.
both, you know.
Tommy, how about our communities?
Communities that support the police are much safer places to live.
Peace.
Amen.
Aye.
All right.
What did I just say?
You did it. You
I
did
just
fine.
said aye. I just
No,
said
aye, matey.
So now we got
Easy.